So I want to give everybody what I like to call Kyle's Guide to Thanksgiving Dinner Politics. So look, some of you guys are lucky enough to have people in your family who, you more or less agree with on most things politically. Lucky y'all. There's a lot of other people don't. It's a mixed bag with some people, and some people it's a tsunami that you're walking into because you know that virtually everybody at the table disagrees with you. So for me, I would say it's a mixed bag, more or less, for my family. There are plenty of people who more or less are with me politically, or, there's 70% agreement, somewhere around there, 75% agreement, maybe a handful, 95% agreement. But look, there are, at least in my family, you got plenty of folks who it's 90% disagreement, And so how do you navigate that? How do you deal with that? So I'm going to give a few answers here because I think it varies depending on what kind of person you are and what mood you're in and how you're feeling. But so for me, I don't say shit. Like I'm not going in there looking to talk politics. I'm not going in there looking to debate. I'm not going in there looking to discuss anything. Dog, I'm there for the stuffing and the sweet potatoes with the marshmallows on top. That shit is banging. That shit is super banging. Not the biggest turkey fan, though. I know that's heresy. You're not allowed to say that around Thanksgiving, but turkey sometimes is dry as fuck. Now, if you deep fry that shit, now we're having a conversation. Because that's delicious. All right. But so back to the actual point in question here. So for me, look, I'm immersed in politics 24/7 all day, every day. I'm a political junkie. I have my hobbies that I love, but when I'm not doing one of my hobbies, I'm always reading something political or watching something political or thinking about something political. So for me, I don't go into Thanksgiving like, let's dive into more politics stuff. If anything, I look at it as like, look, it's a holiday and it's more of a break from that. So I'm not trying to talk about any of it. If somebody wants to talk to me about it, okay, I'll talk to them about it. But as many of you guys who are longtime listeners of the show know, I'm actually a very, very introverted person. It looks like I'm a massive extrovert just because of the nature of the show. But if you really think about it, what does it take for one person to ramble for 2.5 hours straight for a show? You actually got to be kind of introverted. It's like I'm having a conversation with myself as I'm doing this show. You know what I'm saying? So I'll entertain people if they really want to talk about it. But generally, I'm not looking for a political conversation. And if you really don't agree with people, okay, then just don't talk about it and you're good. So that's one of my answers, is just don't say anything, don't do anything. If you don't want to have the conversation, don't have the conversation. Now, but I will say this, because some of you probably aren't in that camp, and some of you are probably more extroverted, or you want to maybe have the political conversation or whatever it may be. And to you, I'd say this. You have to be intelligent and strategic with how you have these conversations. Now, when you're dealing with family, sometimes, they've assigned you the role, right? So if you're the nephew or you're the niece, it's just like, that's my nephew, that's my niece. And it's almost like they don't view you as like on the same plane and level and frequency as them, if they're older than you and they've been around the block. And so it's hard to break free from those sorts of natural relationship dynamics where you're almost typecast and and put in a box. But if you want to have these conversations, change people's minds, there's a very tried and true way to do it. And it's something that, I've deployed in debates before. You can intelligently weaponize people's own ideology against them. And it's not nefarious. It's not like, this colossal chess move or it's genius sidestep. No, it's a very straightforward thing. So here's a great example. So if it was in 2015 or 2016 or something, and you're at Thanksgiving and you want to talk about politics, and let's say you got some Trump supporters in the family. Well, if you're a lefty, you hate Trump, but you also hate Hillary Clinton. And so there might be some common ground right there. You got Trump supporter who is shitting on Hillary, and you're like, I might not agree with you on all this stuff, but one thing we definitely agree on is the Clinton Foundation. How corrupt they are, how much money they took from despots and dictators, and then they delivered on weapons deals. Bill got paid for speeches, then Hillary delivered on weapons deals for these terrible tyrants, and that's just rampant corruption, and it's disgusting. Now, if you lead with an area of like, here's the area of agreement, oftentimes what that does is it generally disarms people to a degree that's more so than they were before. So you just gained a little bit of credibility in the eyes of somebody, even who might be, kind of crazy in their own respect. you just disarm them a little bit. Because now they know, well, I can't dismiss everything this person says because, hey, they were right about that thing, right? And so if you do a couple of those, maybe 1, 2, 3 things that are like, yeah, on this, right. Well, then the door's open. And so when you have disagreements, they're more willing to hear you out. Now, a lot of people are stubborn and they're more there to do their own monologue than listen to you at all. But at least then the door's open a little bit for a non-insane conversation. And my only advice outside of that is very simple. Be punchy. And what I mean by punchy is not aggressive, but just be to the point. You know, I get very frustrated by people who communicate and they say something in 4 paragraphs when they could say the same damn thing in 2 sentences. If you could say it in 2 sentences, say it in 2 sentences. And so that form of communication has the ability to pierce through more. The other thing is, don't expect to change the world going into this conversation. You know, let stuff slide off your back. Understand it's par for the course. It is what it is. And just keep it moving. You know, and if you enjoy that kind of stuff, again, go right ahead and take my advice, and I'm sure it'll go better than it normally would. But if you're somebody who's more like me, you just sort of want to watch TV and eat some banging food. But anyway, that's my general guide to Thanksgiving dinner politics. Start with a couple areas of tiny agreement, and then that'll open the door to a non-insane conversation. Don't be afraid to assert disagreements, but be to the point and quick with it. And just try to don't ever let it get so heated that everything's ruined for everybody. You know what I mean? Because it is super common that you have families that have wild disagreements. You know what I mean? You got an uncle who's a homophobe, and you got a cousin who marches in the gay pride parade and wears assless chaps. Like, that's America right there. So you know, you make do with whatever you got and just try to enjoy it as much as possible. But that's my advice to those of you who actually want to engage in that conversation. And for others who might be more like me, you know, just sit back, relax, have a good one. Don't even look for any of the political stuff. And if it comes up, just take it in stride. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there, and I hope you have a good one. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.